Tell us about some of the celebs that have walked through the door. I think you've had Samuel L. Jackson, Heady One, H.
I think Common is like the one that was like, wow.
Welcome to Tailor Made. I'm Danny TPG. This is where we're going to meet some amazing masters of their craft. Our first guest is a world-class chef. He's got an amazing background in music, clubs and promotion, and all things culture and heritage. Akwasi Brenya-Mensa. Welcome.
Danny?
Or should I say welcome back?
Welcome back.
Back to Manchester. You're not a stranger here.
Not at all.
Tell us about your time in Manchester, because I know that you've very much Manchester made, right? It's very formative for you.
Yeah, my time in Manchester stretches back as far as 20 years. I left London to move to university. I went to university in Sheffield, and the first regular DJ job I actually got was in Manchester, which was at Revolution Deansgate Locks. Is that still there?
Yeah.
Is Revolution still there?
It's still there.
Where else is there? Lucid. I don't know if these places exist anymore.
These are all the sexy places.
Right.
These are all like R&B.
Yeah. 'Cause I was an R&B DJ, innit?
Of course.
If we come to about kind of 2016, that's when I actually made the move to Manchester. I felt like, and I still feel like that, outside of London, where I grew up, Manchester's the best city, in the UK. The first time I realised I was in the north of England was I was going to a trampoline class with a friend of mine called Carla. We missed the bus and a car pulled up behind. I was like, where are you going? And it's like, I'll drop you off. And she was like halfway in the car. And I was like, yo, he could be an axe murderer. But, this is why my mum sent me here, because when you're kind of in another, setting, when you're in another place, people are different. That kind of warmth and that kind of pride of their city and where they're from and how they do things is something that I kind of really love and really resonates for me, because it's how I feel about who I am and my heritage, and that's what I kind of pour into my cooking, if that makes sense.
Mensa, what are we doing here, man? What have we got?
So I brought a couple of things with me. Gonna do our black eyed bean hummus, and then we're gonna do our chin chin cheesecake.
And what ingredients have we got on the table?
So we got the hummus that I've made already, and then we've got the red palm oil that goes with it. And for the chin chin cheesecake, we've got the whipped cheesecake mix, the dill and apple, and the chin chin crumb.
You are an award-winning chef, and Tatale is a food concept, dining concept?
Yeah, initially set out as a supper club. When it kind of expanded into the restaurant, the centre itself had, art exhibitions and events and activations. We had our restaurant, and these things were intertwined, and we created a moment where there was a real space for people of African origin, people in the African diaspora, and people interested in, African cultural heritage to come and celebrate that.
And Tatale is very much informed by your own heritage, right?
Yeah, so as a concept, it's definitely informed by, West African food, because I'm from Ghana, and that's what I know. What I've tried to do is to kind of marry that part of who I am and who my family is with my lived experience and, my various travels through music around the world.
Tell us about some of the celebs that have walked through the door and come and seen you for lunch.
That's one thing that is constantly surprising. When a staff member walks or runs over in a certain way, I know what that means. So then it is quite almost funny or comical to look up and see what the reaction is to. So
right, I think you've had Samuel L. Jackson come and see you.
I think Common is the one that's that he came very, very early to the restaurant. And
so Common's a rapper from Chicago, I think, right?
Yeah, and that was wow kind of moment. And that came from, and again, this is the tie between food and music. So when I was touring with Gaika in Atlanta in 2018, we were eating at this restaurant, and the girls on the table next to us heard our British accents, and they were like, you guys are British. That scene from a film, it actually happens. And so we got on really well with them. We went out like bowling with them or something, and we just kept in touch. She's also a tour manager. I think when he was in the UK, she invited him to the restaurant. But that's a kind of a good example of how, I guess, kind of like my work in music has connected to my work in food. So the hummus, we pipe the hummus out of the bag, like so.
And you were saying that this hummus is black bean.
Yes, I use black
Hummus,
eyed
yeah.
beans. All the hummus that I tried, or traditionally it's made with chickpeas, for sure. I've used black eyed beans because it's an ingredient that kind of I know and can resonate with. I felt like, why shouldn't we have, a West African hummus? An interesting fact about hummus, it does already have an African connection because a lot of the tahini, a lot of it is produced in Ethiopia. That's something that a lot of people don't know. You can't make hummus without tahini. So, hummus, on an ingredient basis, we're already connected to.
Amazing. I know you've got all of this other background in music, and have had a kind of whole career in being a DJ and being a promoter.
If we go back to the beginning, I saw DJ Randall playing drum and bass, and it was the first time I'd seen that kind of DJ. The DJs I'd seen before were at hall parties that were usually, like, they're DJs in their own right, don't get me wrong, but like there was a very different technicality. Like watching the impact of, DJ Randall's like mixes and cuts on the crowd, to me, it was mind blowing, if that makes sense. I was like, what I just witnessed, I'm gonna do that. So I got a job in Woolworths, rest in peace Woolworths, thank you for the pick and mix. I worked many, many hours for £3 an hour or whatever it was. And I bought some decks. I didn't have like my own room or a lot of space. So every Friday after school for 3 hours, my mum would let me and my brother use the dining room table as like our DJ desk basically. And then, the decks, got packed away till next week.
And that's an amazing story, but I also think you're downplaying this a little bit because I know that you guys had like a really big music promotion and you booked loads of like black music stars from all over the world and world-class DJs from all over the world. And I just think that's such a massive thing to achieve, but also you've ended up in such a completely different space. The line isn't straight.
It is and isn't straight. And it's definitely not straight in terms of like what the skills required to execute the disciplines. That's like, completely opposite, if you will. But I think like the common strand that runs through both of them is the creation of space or of environment in which people can have an experience, whether it's club promotion or whether it's events or whether it's a supper club or whether it's a restaurant. In all of those, that process for me is essentially the same. So it's not straight, but they're like kind of like aligned. They're like third cousins.
Who's like the biggest DJ or the most famous person that you've like worked with in the music business?
Like as a promotions company, booked Skepta, several times. This is probably about 10 years ago. And he's obviously now, he's a worldwide star. To me, it would be DJ EZ. I booked DJ EZ for an event that I did in 1998. And so to have seen, his career trajectory, I'm from that era when I started music. I love garage music. So when you see someone that you like really, really like rate, not only do you rate them, but their like kind of art form is like tied up in like your upbringing. It's magical to me.
Yeah.
So for me, it's DJ EZ. Like whenever I see his name on a flyer or anything, I'm just like, one, amazed, and two, just like, this someone we booked 25 years ago is like just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
We've piped in the hummus.
Yeah, hummus is in. And then what I tend to do is just make a small little well like that with a spoon and water. And then for the red palm oil, I'm gonna drop that in there, like so. That's our black eyed bean hummus.
Traditionally, how would we eat this or how would you serve it to people?
Normally it'd be served with plantain crisps. I don't have any of those with me today. So we've gone for a lightly salted crisp from the shop round the corner.
Can't go wrong.
Absolutely not. Thank you very much for our runner today. So, I just, simple as that. In a bit of oil, a bit of hummus.
Right.
That's it.
I'm in. I'm going for it. Banging.
Thank you very much.
James Cochrane's like a celebrity chef, right?
He's a G.
TV chef.
Yeah. He won the Great British Menu.
Won the Great British
2018,
Menu.
yeah. What really appealed to me was that James was someone of mixed origin. His restaurant was a modern European restaurant. He had one dish on there that was like a nod to jerk, and I really rated and respected the fact that he had crafted for himself, just like I can do my heritage on one side if I want, but I can also do what I want to do. It's really, really humbling is the word I would use, because when I got there, I was like, I know like I'm gonna be shit, but I'm gonna try hard. Am I allowed to swear?
You did.
But you get in there and then it's like, however bad I thought I was gonna be, like I'm much worse. much worse. In that kind of environment, people can do things well and quickly. And when you are new in that environment, you can do one. And so every time I was asked something and I was given, the easiest station for sure, it was like, am I gonna do this well or am I gonna do this quickly?
How did you master the act of either doing it quickly and not so well, or doing it well and taking your time? How did you master the act of bringing those things together to this?
I didn't master it for a very, very long time. And I was not very good for a very, very long time. And so I'm extremely grateful that I was afforded, and I was afforded the patience. Unequivocally, there would have been times where I would have been slowing things down, but they gave me that space. It's like Denzel Washington says, each one teach one. So, I do that. If someone comes into my kitchen or someone wants to come work with us, like your skill level is not the most important thing.
And you also, in a short period of time, I feel like have emerged as a celebrity chef too. Like you're not a stranger to the TV. You've done MasterChef, CBBS, CBS in America. You've got this amazing raft of press with Esquire magazine and GQ magazine and all of these kind of things. So you're very much in that celebrity space yourself. Has that changed you at all on a kind of personal level?
I'm always like really, really happy, obviously, but it doesn't change what we do, if that makes sense. It's fantastic, and it's definitely contributed to Tatale, being recognized globally, which I think for a restaurant residency that was for 1 year is quite a huge achievement.
I've seen you on like so many mad ends of the fashion spectrum. I've seen you like in a suit and dicky bow, and I've also seen you like in the chef scrubs, mad clogs with a bonnet on, protecting your hair. Like I've seen the whole thing.
That was for H.
I've seen the full flip, but I've also seen these like amazing Kente cloth aprons that you wear, and like how do you dress your team, and kind of what fashion and cultural influences do you kind of bring together for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think work-wise, people wear what's comfortable, and I think that from my own like experience, maybe not necessarily always being at the size that I would love to be, I think that it's really, really important when you're dressing to be comfortable. And so like that's the first thing that I kind of stipulate for the staff. One of the things that I think is like really, really important is being comfortable in who you are. And that's the thing that's really important for me with the staff. And I can give the example of one of our staff members, who was a staff member that joined us recently, who shortened her name to the first letter because it was easier for people. And when she started work with us, I said to her very, very, very clearly, like, we don't do that here. Like, that's your name. I don't mind if you spend 2 minutes going back and forth with someone to get your name correct, or like explain to them, politely how to pronounce it, that's fine, because like this is your space to be comfortable, and this is your space that represents you. So don't feel as if you need to diminish any part of who you are. So here we have some apples that I've diced, which is going to form part of the chin chin cheesecake dessert.
Okay.
And here we have the other element, which is a chin chin crumb. So this is our whipped cheesecake mix. And again, similar to the hummus, just going to pipe that like so. It's a pretty standard cheesecake mix. It's got cream cheese, double cream, some egg yolks and some whole eggs, and some gelatin, and that's what kind of like thickens it up. If I take the spoon, and again, like with the hummus before, I'll make a small well, and then we're going to fill that with the dill and the apple.
And dill's a herb, right?
Yeah, so this dish, I wanted it to kind of be like a combination of sweet and savory, almost kind of like a palate cleanser, if you will.
I know that you've worked with lots of celebrities and catered for some amazing events for Heady One, UK rapper from London, but also H, amazing rapper from Manchester that everybody knows, everybody loves. Maybe you could walk us through what a day in the life of an event of that scale kind of looks like. You want to take a minute to think about that?
No.
Yeah?
Cool. It's all very
traumatically emblazoned.
I don't tend to sleep before a big event. I will tend to try and get like a good night's sleep 2 days before, and then work through the night. Part of the, let's call it magic, of event catering, ultimately like anything can go wrong at any point. That event there, we got, you know, all the food preps, we've got everything up here. I think when we had 1 or 2 ovens on, it was like okay, and then when we put the 3rd oven on, and it tripped.
The ovens tripped the electric in the whole building.
And that's part and parcel. Those kind of things are like the parts of events that you can't really plan for. We got all the food out, met H, he really liked the food, he was happy with it. It was a good one. At the end of the day, we stayed over in Manchester. Like, we didn't like go on a mad one or anything. Like, it was a long day. Everyone just wanted to like sleep, but it's fun. It's like, it's nice and rewarding. You've done something with your team.
An event that size, how many people are you catering for?
I think that one, it was it 100? I think it's like 100 people. And then I think we designed a special Christmas burger for H, and it was like a buttermilk fried chicken, pork sage and onion stuffing, lettuce. I think I did like a hot sauce, a mayonnaise, and a cranberry sauce or something.
Had to have cranberry in it.
Yeah.
It's Christmas, right?
Yeah. When you kind of do those kind of bespoke events, like, it's more fun because like you're getting to be creative. You like submit the brief, it's got to go to the other side, they've got to okay it. When you then go and execute it and you see people's reactions and people have enjoyed it, it's a real sense of pride. The chin chin crumb is just going to go on top. Now, I tend to like put quite a lot of this on because this like cheesecake, you know, doesn't have a base.
And is this very much like a you-styled take on what a cheesecake could be?
I guess this style of cheesecake is one that I learned when I was working at 1251. Instead of using like digestive biscuits, which is what would normally be used, I thought to myself, chin chin is something that's normally used at the start of a function. Although you were there when someone compared it to Bombay mix, but it's.
I mean, you know, some people won't really know what chin chin is. So if you just like tell us really what it is.
So chin chin is like a West African. It's a savoury, it can be sweet, but generally a savoury West African fried dough snack. That kind of snacky thing that's there on the table.
I'm ready to taste it. This is my jam. Okay. Yeah, that's banging. I'm taking this home. I'm definitely finishing it. Yeah.
It's all yours.
Nice one, bro. Thank you. What are the things that, you know, are maybe in the pipeline, or maybe things that you're really interested in doing that you haven't had the opportunity to do just yet?
In terms of what we say yes to, it's things that are interesting or exciting. I consider myself, if we go to your introduction, and like, I guess to a degree, I am, you know, a master of my craft, but I would probably consider myself still a student, if that makes sense. And so I love the opportunity to learn. It is actually really, really exciting and enjoyable to ride the bike with what are the extra wheels?
The stabilizers.
The stabilizers, and then get better, and then get to the 2 wheels, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the residency that we're doing at the moment, is very, very much this way. It's a satellite kitchen with a wood oven. Never used one before, and I often know exactly what I want the dish to be, but I don't necessarily always have the technical skill or the experience. So I'm, very lucky that there's people I'm able to call on and be like, right, I've made this dish, but I haven't used a wood oven before, for an example. So that lets me kind of go back to school, learn a new skill, and then at the end of that project, I'm better, our team is better, we've all kind of done something, whether it's learning a new way to cook, whether it's being in a different environment. In terms of like what's next, Tatale is one of several concepts that I developed during lockdown. I look forward to taking some time to kind of look at what the execution of those other concepts look like. And yeah, I'm excited about that.
Mensa, thank you for joining us on our first episode of Tailor Made.
Thank you for having me.
That's a wrap. Just act natural.
I think that's the outro.